Welcome back, Nazreen. I just want to continue the conversation. So we were talking about morality and Islam, but let's make it a little more specific. A lot of Muslims feel there is this feeling that perhaps they are being misunderstood and that they are being exploited by the West. It's a very common, and there's always a conspiracy theory. Having said that, as you said, if people take ownership of their own actions, that could perhaps be a step in the right direction. Why is it that you don't see any Muslim countries, when you talk about solidarity, actions, morality, why is it that the West always says that we don't see any Muslim countries stand up and take ownership when something goes wrong? Like when you talk about terrorism or the war on terror or suicide bombings or so on and so forth. We don't see Muslim countries stand up and take one cohesive stand.
Well, Muslims are very diverse in their national, ethnical backgrounds. I just visited China and saw there three different ethnical groups of Muslims. The original Chinese Hui Muslims, then the Muslims of the Turkish origin and the Muslims of the Mongolian origin, just to give you an example of China. Why? Because Islam is transnational religion.
Yeah, but fundamentally it boils down to something, belief in one God.
Yes.
And belief that Hazrat Muhammad was the last prophet.
Of course.
There is, ultimately, it boils down to something very basic.
But we have several levels of understanding of Islam. You have personal, everyone has his personal belief as made in Shahada. When you say Shahada, you say in a personal way. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and bear witness that Prophet is Muhammad. So this is a personal commitment. Then you have the family commitment. You belong to your family. Family teaches you certain morals. Then you have your community appreciation. And then you have a political level of your faith. So you see things not necessarily from just religious point of view, but also politically. So your political views sometimes become halfway religious views. And in my case, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have this additional level of, besides intellectual level, we have the post-genocidal level of our religion. So we have different experiences.
What is the post-genocidal level?
Post-genocide belief or religion of mine is different from yours, because you did not experience genocide, thanks God. But now, my experience of genocide tells me that I cannot rely on human help. I have to trust and seek somebody who is behind or above the human power, which is God. So my religion now and my faith is based on the post-genocidal experience that I have, and my people in Bosnia and Herzegovina, not probably all of them, but many of them. So we Muslims are different personalities. We live in different circumstances. We have different cultural habits, cultural customs, and so on and so on. And we are united in this diversity. We are the most united religious group in the world.
We're not able to portray or translate it to the West.
That's correct. But when we come to the political issue, and I see that Muslims are not religiously disunited, they are politically disunited by their interests, by their communication, different contacts, and so on. Of course, some people in the world, whether it is in the East, in the West, they are taking advantage of this political interest among the Muslims.
And would it be inaccurate to say that this political interest is an economically aligned interest?
That's correct. But unfortunately, the West, or many in the West, look at us only with one eye, that we are all Muslims, regardless whether you are moderate, extremist, or the otherwise. They look at you as a Muslim, and they have a particular approach. Now, yes, we suffer today Islamophobia that is spreading. From Karachi, I am going to Brussels tomorrow to meet with Jewish rabbis, and we are launching a campaign against anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in Europe, which is spreading. And we think we should be united that Holocaust does not repeat and genocide does not repeat in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Never again. We will say again, never again. So we have to fight those who are ready or who are willing to commit the crime against humanity, such as Holocaust and genocide. But let me tell you something. Yes, there is Islamophobia in Europe, but also there is Europhobia in the Muslim world. There are Muslims in the Muslim world who have this Westophobia. So the Muslims in the East, Westophobia.
Okay.
So there are Muslims in the East who believe that the West wants to make them slaves, to conquer their land, to occupy them, and to make them miserable. There are Muslims who believe so.
Well, there is a history behind that, because colonization was only up to like 50 years ago. So you can see why people feel that way.
But there are also people in the West who believe that Muslims want to terrorize them.
Who want to make London Londonistan.
Oh, that's correct. So these kind of conceptions or misconceptions that we have about each other, we have to correct. But at the same time, let me tell you, I met so many people in the West who are Islamophilia, who have Islamophilia, who like Muslims, who like to make business with them, who don't have these prejudices that some people have. So what I think, minority, both in the East and in the West, are those who are Islamophobic and those who are Westophobic in the Muslim world.
But the minority seems to be getting enough attention. The minority is what is being highlighted.
That's correct. My concern is not about those who have Islamophobia or Westophobia. My concerns are those people who are Westophiles or Islamophiles. We are losing them by stupid actions on the part of the West and on the part of the East.
So how do you bridge the gap?
It is a stupid act.
How do you bridge the gap?
This is why we have this interview, to tell people what we think. The stupid decision of Switzerland to ban building the minaret is something that I cannot understand. The stupid decision of the French government to bar this burqa or hijab or whatever, instead of, making hijabs for women so that they can buy hijab like they are buying Chanel. Every woman like to have Paris.
Hermes.
Isn't it? So instead of making this something very attractive and saying to Muslim women, those who want to have hijab, let them have. No one has right to tell me what I'm going to wear, a dress. Me, as the Grand Mufti of Bosnia and Herzegovina, I am against those who are prescribing what for women, what to wear, how to wear, whether it is to put hijab or not to put hijab. This is not the business of government. We have to explain to our girls, to our women, what are the basic moral standards of Islam. And this statement in the Quran, when Adam and Eve came from heaven, and then where they didn't know how to cover their bodies, and then there was a complaint about it, and God said to them, وَلِبَاسُ التَّقْوَى ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ. But your awareness or your morality, high morality, is more important than what you are wearing. So what I would like to see for my girls, my Muslim girls in the future, in Pakistan and Bosnia and everywhere, that they are educated, that they are self-conscious of their identity as Muslims, that they are strong psychologically and physically, and that they know how to live in this life, in this world, without fear and without feeling inferior to anybody, but to be proud of their religion, of their Islam, or their morality, and God will give us the strength and ability to cope with all these problems.
You can teach the women that, but I mean, in a society, in most Muslim countries, it is a male-dominated society. So in order to emancipate the women, you first have to educate the men.
No, no, no. I don't think that the men are qualified to tell the women how they
Oh, they are,
should.
no, by no means are
All
they
right.
qualified to tell the women.
So
What
let
I'm
me.
saying though
So
is
let me
because
be
it's a
very, very.
male-dominated society, unfortunately, most women in Muslim countries cannot make those decisions or cannot decide what to do or however you want to see it because they are dictated, their terms are dictated by their fathers, their husbands, their sons. So until those don't change, how is a woman going to emancipate herself?
But these sons and fathers, they will never change. They will be the same as long as you women are allowing them to be the same. I am saying, you are human beings. You have the God gave you the ability to think. God gave you everything what He,
So take ownership.
what God is giving to human beings. Of course, I don't allow anyone to teach me how to look at my mother and my sisters. They are my sisters, and no one, either in the East or the West, should tell me my love and my respect for my mother and my, because I am Muslim. But at the same time, I would encourage women to get involved in the affairs of the public affairs and to learn about Islam as much as anybody else. And then you know that Hazreti Aisha, the wife of Prophet Muhammad, she was arguing with the Prophet in many aspects of life. And we had so many hadiths from her that these hadiths are teaching women how to cope. And not only this, you know, the Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet Muhammad, when his husband Hazreti Ali wanted to marry another woman, she went to the Prophet Muhammad and she complained to him. And she said, no, I don't like that Hazreti Ali marry another woman. So Prophet Muhammad said, I am on the side of Fatima. So you see, what I'm trying to say, I wish that and would like to see our women educated, and they have to be given the equal opportunity to be educated. This is their right.
And who will give them that opportunity? Or do they take that opportunity?
They should take this opportunity and they should fight for the opportunity. Nothing is, you see, in this world, nothing is given free. You have to fight for that, and then God will reward you, of course.
So you're saying there is reality and practicality. So you have to take ownership. And you keep saying this again and again, whether you're talking about the misperception of Islam in the West or the role of women in Muslim countries, the driving theme behind whatever you do say is simply that take ownership and take charge.
I am not impressed by the status of women in the West, by the way.
Oh,
I don't think that...
How do you see the status of women in the West?
I mean,
this is interesting.
Let me, I mean, you know, if these women in the West or in the East, and I think that the problems are the same, whether it is in the East
As a
or
woman,
in the...
I can tell you, fundamentally, it is the same.
Yes, you know in the West that women are less paid for the same job that men are doing in many countries. But not only this, I don't see that women should compete with the muscles of men to prove that they are equal with men. Like, for example, I remember when I was in Chicago that there was a competition of job in New York. That was always men's job, which is the collecting the garbage of the New York streets, which is very well paid. So women were not qualified for these jobs. So one woman was competing and she got the job. So we had the news that women finally won this particular job. If that is the equality between men and women in you know, getting some you know, very difficult jobs, and I don't see there is femininity. There is something that I think women are deserving to be respected by their very
We have to
fact
take a
of,
short break.
yes.
We'll keep, this is women and Islam interesting. We'll keep watching. See you after a short break.